Hey everybody, welcome back to Springrealms here on our wonderful little Patron server. So, got a little bit of progress to show off. We've been tinkering around with a bunch of stuff over here at the dungeon. This is quite definitely, considering I'm currently recording this at the very start of Christmas Eve, not going to be ready for release this year, which sounds a lot more melodramatic than it is, because basically everybody's back home for their various winter celebrations, and that includes Aeneas, so that's half of the build team for these kind of things, and it includes basically the entire population of the server. So, consequently, even if we did get this dungeon finished this month, they won't really be able to play it until next month. So, we are going to be releasing this one in January, which is fine because it's not especially seasonally decorated, but we do have the statues done. Now, I'm debating on whether or not those statues actually represent any particular deity from the Springrealms canon, because they could. That's reasonable. It would make sense for them to look like one of the gods. Whether or not this is in fact what Placidos looks like, who knows? Could just be a random carving. We don't know. I do like the idea that the materials here have faded. They've sort of been bleached by the sun up here. But for the most part, they're their original colours. And they do have glowstone, and they do have redstone lamps as a renewable supply around here. But if we head in, we have a little bit of building just around here. And there is a core to inside here, these walls. Let me just tear this out for a quick moment so you can see. Because we are going to decorate these interiors. They're not going to stay as pink stained clay forever. But they have an interior that is equal parts quartz and bone block. So you dig through that, you're going to get an interesting supply of stuff. Continuing our curious situation that the library is in fact bone cored. But over here we have the first little bit of interior construction. So we of course have the spring in here, which is called the Waters of Vision. So the implication is that this was a scrying pool for Placidos. We have our first bookcases as well. Those are going to be very common appearances around here. And we even have our first couple of jump points, which I'll explain momentarily. I evidently need to add Enderman to the list of things around here that shouldn't be spawning, but that's fine for now. So these are just armor stands with little special effects that give off the particles so you know where they are. They also will always be on these circle stone bricks, and if you step on them, they give you a little bit of levitation. About enough to go up about 7 blocks safely, maybe 8 if you're very careful. They're not necessarily safe to jump onto, but it doesn't have to be safe going down, just has to be safe going up. We've got these nice pulled out kind of structures here with the stairs. I'm kind of mixing, with the sandstone and everything, I'm kind of mixing in influences from the Library of Alexandria, but it honestly I think works quite nicely around here. So we're gonna stick with that. That is, however, more or less the bulk of progress around here. Oh wait, no, there is actually one other thing. Some people wondered what I was going to put up here if it would depict the brothers. No, in fact, at least this side. I haven't done the back yet, but at least this side depicts the Spring of Souls and all of the things that flowed out of it, basically. So that looks pretty cool. But there isn't anything else just yet. We have been doing a little theorizing, so we've got the living. Jeez, I need to turn spawning off, but if I do that, I'm going to be able to show you everything I wanted around here. So yeah, we've got the living statues, which are an idea, but I might leave that for a later dungeon. Aeneas left me a little message here, broken lighting system, libraries need light. Yeah, true. It's sort of a mix between making it spawn-proof and making it asphetic. We'll have to I have to come up with a nice balance to that. But yeah, here we have my little... Well, here's my original test, which was just giving you a temporary period of levitation. And here is my actual secondary test, which is the reliable floating point, which works quite nicely. And this whole circuit here is the only thing that makes all of that work. So it's very compact and very effective, I would have said. But the main topic of conversation this time around is down here in the bedrock box. So we flutter our way over here. Nope. And we can turn that off for now. So over here, we have my work on the weaponized lore system. Now, if I push the button, once that effect wears off, give it a second, or two, or one, or done. Okay. So over there, we can see particles that are painting a rather nice view inside of the air. Actually, that's really nice to look at. Sweet. But if I come over here, if I get too close to it, divine lore has entered my mind, and there's a sound effect and a particle effect, and I also get this little helpful message. That's purely a test message. It doesn't have it's almost definitely not going to stay in. So what happens here is that I just summon a bat with this tag of weapon lore, and it is permanently invisible, and no particles, and it's also silent. So the only indication that we have that it exists at all are these enchantment table particles that it's giving off all of the time. But after that, this section goes to work. So it is constantly looking for players within 5 blocks of it who have not already been hit by lore, to be hit by lore. And I should make that at P, shouldn't I? So it only targets one person. Yeah. Okay, and then from there, anyone that has that tag already kills all of the bats of that particular ilk that are within 5 blocks of them. That's in the same tick, so consequently it means as soon as a bat is able to find a victim, as it were, someone with whom to hit with weaponized lore, it ricochets and sort of kills them off as well. So a single bat should only ever target one person. And then you get the lore text with Tell Raw, you get the enchantment particles with Execute, you get the sound played with Execute as well, and then you get hit with blindness. And then just clean that up. Now, that's all well and good. That by itself is an interesting mechanic, except I actually want to be giving off a number of different effects, so not just blindness. So, just as a list here, we obviously want to have blindness. That's an obvious one. I mean, how could we have such a system of deleterious effects and such if there wasn't blindness? Let's also put in jump boost, and we could put in levitation, but we're already using that elsewhere in the dungeon, so it doesn't really make sense to have a duplicate effect. But let's also have poison. Maybe your brain hears something about how it shouldn't work, or maybe about how bumblebees shouldn't be able to fly, or whatever. And let me see, we could put in Wither, but we don't want these by themselves to kill things. So let's have... what would be a nice one? A decently trolly one as well. Slowness is an obvious one, but let's have... I was gonna say speed. Speed could be interesting. I'm basically thinking back to Delta, where there was the Alchemist's mess zone that just gave you random status effects. But let's have hunger. Why not? You get a vision of some utterly delicious food. Okay. So we've got 4 different effects here, and we need to have these bats deliver all of them, not just the one. Now there's a couple of ways, really, maybe 3 if we really think about it, that we can do that. So the first thing that we could do is we could give all of these weapon lore bats a specific tag for what effect they're going to give out. So this one might be weapon lore blindness, and then weapon lore jump boost, and then weapon lore poison, that kind of thing. And then we just have a circuit for each effect that causes them to give like the nearest person, instead of the tag of lore hit, or maybe they give that one and we just do the effects on it, it gives them the status effect tag instead. That's one way to do it, but that means duplicating a lot of command blocks. And the other way that we could do it is that we have the problem that then raises, I should say, is that when we build our mob spawners, like we did with the creepers of the last dungeon, then we need to have either some way of changing regularly the tag of the bats that comes out of the spawners, or we need to have specific spawners for specific lore, and that doesn't quite work for me. That seems too reliable. This should be a lot more random. Like, when you see a bat coming at you from any location, you should have very little idea of what it's going to do until it gets into your head, I think. So, the next idea that we can do is that we can have the bats themselves give the lore tag of, like, give the lore hit tag, and then we have a randomizer system, not unlike we've done with pretty much all of the moss attacks, that kind of thing, that just gives you, selects somebody with the lore hit tag and gives them a random effect and lore text. That could work, but that is slow, because that means that we have to eject an item for every single individual person that has it, and we need to have a cycle for that as well, so it needs to be a system that has a timer in it that loops so that we get one item per person with lore hit, and that's slow and clunky, and I don't think that would necessarily be great either. So our third and final option, if I just get out some armor stands, is to have a sort of loop of timer armor stands kind of thing. So every time one of these goes off, it gives the next one in the chain a pulse to say, hey, you're next in the line, and each of these individual armor stands is responsible for giving off the actual effects to players with lore hit. And this just constantly cycles at an irregular rate, so that the players don't have any clue as to what the effects they will get from this will be, because this will be unseen, and if they did know, even then they're probably not going to be able to guess out what it is. So that, I think, is the way to go. But it's going to take me a little bit of time past the Christmas holidays and such, or at least past this weekend, which is Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I do have a live stream Christmas Eve. Maybe I'll have some spare time today to get this done. I don't know. But then I'm out of the house for most of Christmas Day, as well as parts of Boxing Day, visiting a family and giving presents, which you will almost assuredly get footage of. But this is what it currently looks like. I can see what Aeneas means by the need for some lighting. Oh, off me. Bye. Yeah, it is starting to look pretty nice in here, I have to say, but we've still got a bunch more building to do. We need to get different platforms. I'm pretty much going to guarantee somebody pillars on top of these statues in the first 10-15 minutes maybe of this dungeon being open, but we'll see. What is fun is that the area at the frontier being so open, it means that it's going to be very difficult to completely wall it off, especially considering they'll be regenerating all the way out to here the entire time. So there's this big area where things can wander out. So sticking around at the front of the library is not necessarily the smartest of options. And let me get a torch in my hand, at least. There we go. So, yeah, gonna be interesting. So, remember, the main thing here is witches. Witches are another system I have to work out. I will probably have spawners for that, or I might use a randomizer on the actual natural spawn witch system. So what'll happen is a similar thing to that second system we described here. So we'll find a random witch that doesn't have the spellcaster tag or something, and then we'll give them a randomized spell tag, and then from there we can just set a timer value for them that ticks down, and if there's any players nearby when that's at 0, then we can cast the spell. And we'll give them some nice custom effects as well. But other than that, it's busy, so I'm going to get back to work on this, and I hope you've enjoyed this brief video, and I'll catch you all next time.